how this will work. If you are here with a public comment, please type your name in the Q&A section, and in parentheses, please place public comment. If you are here from a club or organization, please also put your name in the Q&A section and in parentheses, clubs and orgs. And if you are a member of faculty or staff who would like to address the board, please place your name in the Q&A as well. Moving on to action item approval of the agenda. Can I please get a motion to amend the agenda?
I motion to move the agenda.
I motion to amend.
Oh.
What would you like to, what do you want to amend, Frankie?
To say Monday, June 22nd.
Okay, are there any other amendments?
And I think it's action item, interview, swear in Tiffany.
Okay. Any other amendments?
That's it.
Okay. So we have a motion made by Frankie to amend the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Crystal.
Does anyone oppose? Does anyone abstain? Motion passes. Can I please get a motion to approve the agenda with the amended changes?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Nadia. Can I get a second? Seconded by Crystal. Does anyone oppose? Does anyone abstain? Motion passes. Moving on to action item approval of the minutes from the prior meeting. That was May 15th. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting?
Move to approve.
Motion by Crystal. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Frankie. Does anyone oppose? Does anyone abstain? Motion passes. Moving on to public comment. Ilaria, are there any public comments?
No, I only see a club update.
Okay, moving on to club updates.
Denise Gonzalez, treasurer for the Pre-Law Society. Let me unmute her 1 second. Denise, you can address your club update to the board.
Hi, really no club update as of now. We haven't really met up yet for any announcements. We're trying to set up our, we're trying to just introduce new officers, but I'm here introducing myself to the ASI board since we will be working together a lot. My name is Denise Gonzalez, and you guys can reach me at any time. I will be here in the meetings regularly, so just an introduction of myself here.
Great. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
I see a bunch of faculty and staff that are here. Are there any faculty and staff that wanted to address the board with any updates before we move on? If there's any faculty or staff who want to address the board, you can write your name in the Q&A and I'll unmute you. Okay, Vanessa, I think we're good to move on.
Okay, moving on to Academic Senate report. I believe there's no Academic Senate report, Ilaria?
Correct.
Okay, moving on to Alumni Engagement report.
Christine Bedell is here.
Hi, everybody. Well, the highlight of our last couple of weeks is that we awarded $11,500 in scholarships to CSUB alumni who are pursuing their graduate degree on campus. We awarded 9 scholarships ranging from 3 $500 book scholarships to 2 $1,000 scholarships and 4 $2,000 scholarships. And we did something really special this year. We announced the news to each of our recipients in a Zoom call, and it was really emotional. We wish we had recorded them so that we could have shared them more widely, but it was really a moving experience. And I think even if we don't have social distancing next year, that we'll do like these Zoom reveals again. So that's our big news.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to campus programming report.
None today, Vanessa.
Moving on to president's report.
Dr. Harper is here to give the president's report.
Was I recognized by the chair?
Yes, you are.
I just want to step in for President Selesny and say that we are in the process of planning for the fall semester. We have completed the analysis of all of the courses that will be offered on campus. Our report indicates that we are requesting 51 exceptions for lecture lab-based courses. And there are a variety of other courses that would constitute clinicals or internships, about 57 of those as well. We expect our document to go to the Chancellor's office shortly and to hear from the Chancellor's office if we can proceed with those exceptions. Be that as it may, I have directed the academic unit to continue its planning for that on-campus instruction in the fall. And we expect a good academic year.
Thank you for your report.
Are there any questions for the provost before we move on? Remember, Crystal has a question.
Hi, Dr. Harper. I was wondering if there's any update on like opening the SRC in the fall.
I'm sorry, Crystal, I missed you. What the last part of your question?
Is there any possibility for the SRC to be open during the fall?
I'm going to have to. I don't believe so. I don't know if anybody from the SRC is on the line, but it's certainly unlikely given the situation in the county right now.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Harper?
And Vanessa, Mike Lukens also has an update from the president.
Okay. Mike Lukens?
Hi, thank you. Provost Harper gave most of it, but the president is on a call with the chancellor right now, trying to find out more information on the budget agreement that the governor and legislative leaders reached today. She also wanted you to know that we had a very good meeting with the Black Faculty and Staff Association today. Very productive, lots of great ideas, lots of things to look for, to work on and look forward to. And we'll also be meeting, Cabinet will also be meeting with members of the Black Student Union on Monday. So we're moving forward, and she thanks ASI for collaborating and the leadership on important social justice issues. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mike Lukens?
So Vanessa, Mary O'Mahony's here, and she can answer Crystal's question.
Okay.
So Mary, you can unmute yourself. Mary, were you able to unmute yourself? Hold on one second. Let me see if I can go find Mary in the list here.
Sorry, I have a new computer. Are you able to hear me now?
Yep, we hear you now, Mary.
Perfect. New technology as of last week. So Yeah, I was going to wait until the Student Rec Center report time, but again, I know a lot of the students this is a big priority for them to be able to get back into the rec center. We are working on a reopen plan, but that decision will come from the chancellor's office and then obviously the president's cabinet. So in our plans, we are working on de-densifying the facility. We're working to increase our technology ability, where we'll create an app for the SRC where you'll be able to make a reservation to come in and work out. And we'll limit the capacity of people in here. And so what we're doing is within the California guidelines of reopening policies for facilities like ours. So we'll present that plan to the cabinet. And again, it is up to the chancellor's office. So none of the CSUs are, open right now as far as their rec facilities either. So that's what we're working on. The other obstacle we have is securing cleaning supplies. So our cleaning, while we are a fairly clean facility, we would enhance our cleaning schedules and intensity and acquiring those supplies and to be able to keep supplied with those cleaning materials. And then we'll have to do some additional training with our staff. So we've got a pretty detailed reopen plan that we will present. But again, that decision is not ours to make. It'll come down from the chancellor's office. But we will continue to offer a robust, engaging, hopefully community building virtual program in the fall as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mary. Moving on to the student affairs report.
There won't be one today.
Okay. Moving on to the student union and organization governance report.
I guess that's me. Hi, everybody. My name is Ed Webb. I'm the student organizations coordinator for those of you that I have not met yet. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I've got a very short update for you. The clubs have been allowed to submit registration forms for next year all the way back in April 1st. And so far, we've had 38 clubs submit those forms. So that's out of about 125 clubs max that we'll end up with by the end of the year. So that's a pretty good start this far out from the school year. There will be additional instructions going out July 1st, which will include the individual registration forms, chart field forms for signatures. Constitutions are on hold right now, so they don't need to update those. But then also, we're not going to do face-to-face orientations this year. So we're putting all that orientation information on video format, and they'll have to go to a form, watch the video, answer a few questions about the video, and go on to the next form until all the videos have been completed. So hopefully all that will be ready to roll July 1st. What else I got here? We're going to try and get a virtual club fair up the first week of September. I've been sticking my head in a few as I find them at different colleges to see how they're doing it. And there's a lot of hits and a lot of misses. So we're trying to just pick out the best parts and keep those. But we're looking at probably September 2nd for a virtual club fair for all of our clubs. And that's it for me, unless someone has questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Ed Webb? Seeing none?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I see.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Moving on to appointments and oath of office. We are going to be swearing in Tiffany today. So give me one moment while I change my screen. Okay. Is Tiffany here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So go ahead and put your right hand up. And then you can repeat after me. So I state your name.
I, Tiffany Iniguez.
As duly elected or appointed.
As duly elected or appointed.
Member of the CSUB ASI.
Member of the CSUB ASI.
Shall to the best of my ability.
Shall to the best of my ability.
Fulfill the duties of my office.
fulfill the duties of my office
as provided by the ASI bylaws.
as provided by the ASI bylaws.
I will uphold this representative government,
I will uphold this representative government,
maintain academic freedom, and defend student rights.
maintain academic freedom, and defend student rights.
I will continue to enhance my leadership qualities,
I will continue to enhance my leadership qualities,
scholastic standards, and work to improve the university.
scholastic standards, and work to improve the university.
I so solemnly swear.
I so solemnly swear.
Congratulations, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Give me one moment. Okay. Can you see my screen, Ilaria?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to campus issues. Do we have any campus issues, Ilaria?
The campus issues that have been brought to ASI continue to be whether the SRC is going to be open. We've had students for summer classes being concerned about the $500 fee for student services that are closed. And we've had students come to ASI about fall and wondering what's going to be happening and which classes are going to be held in person. So we have forwarded all of those concerns to the appropriate areas.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, line item A, discussion item, which is the 2020 through 2021 ASI budget. Give me a moment while I pull that up. We will discuss this, propose the budget, and you will have some time to discuss up until our next meeting and even at our next meeting. Can you see my screen, Ilaria?
Yes, and you probably want to increase it a little bit so it's just easier for folks to see.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
And for the board members, we're going to go through each section, and after each section, we'll ask if there's questions. So remember, please put your name in the chat if you have a question or any comments. Okay, so the first section I will go over. So just kind of as you see in the ASI budget, what we've done is we have put in what the budget was last year. So for 1920, and then here in column C is going to be what the proposed budget is for 2021. So just so you see what both sets of numbers. You will see, so I'm going to go over the revenue section. As you will see, our revenue expectations have declined from last year. There's a number of factors for that because at this time, as Mike Lukens just mentioned, the governor's budget still is not out yet. The CSU still doesn't know exactly how many dollars we're going to be getting. In addition, for us as a student fee driven entity and auxiliary, we still don't know exactly how many students are going to be coming as full fee paying students in the fall and over the course of this next year. So the budget office has had us base our budget a little lower than it has been in the past. So as you can see, ASI in total, we're projected to bring in $3,872,300. So that is in totality what the ASI fee that we will be bringing in. Now, as a part of various referendums, not all of the fee goes to us. So only a portion of the fee does. So the first set is $493,700. That's the part that comes back to each of you, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. Next is the Children's Center. So we send $152,600 to the Children's Center. They use those funds to provide scholarships to students. So students who have children are able to receive up to a 70% discount at the Children's Center. Next is athletics. This is the pot of money that allows us to have athletic events free for students. This also helps in all of our spirit programming, spirit squad, pep band. That's a chunk of money that's given to athletics from ASI. The next chunk of money is given to athletics, and these are for Division I scholarships. That's why it says Division I. So when we moved to Division I, part of the referendum was that the student that we would have to fund various scholarships for the athletes. These NC2A scholarships are defined by the NC2A in terms of who gets scholarships and who is fully funded as a sport. And so our contribution to those scholarships is just over $2.5 million. Next, we give out to clubs and organizations $114,700. And that's for clubs and organizations programming. And then we also, our Antelope Valley students also pay the same fee, and a portion of their money goes back to them for programming on their campus. And so we're sending $76,800 back to us. So when you look at all of those columns total up, that's where we get the $3.8 million. And then you will see that we give away $3.3 million to those various entities. And so as ASI, we are left with $493,700. We have two other revenue pieces. One is we hold e-waste drives every year, and so that also brings in some money to the to ASI. But last year's execs and last year's board, as a result of being virtual, they had leftover funds, and so as a result, we are rolling over $58,000 from last year's budget into this year's budget. So that is why you will not see the drastic cuts that would have maybe potentially had to happen in the budget, because we were able to pull in money from last year. So are there any questions about the revenue section before we move on? Okay, Vanessa, I don't see any, but again, if you have further questions later, you're more than welcome to ask.
Okay. So moving on to expenses, under employees, we will start with the executive director's salary. That is $73,944. Moving on to administrative support coordinator, that is $47,340. And the reason you see that increase from last year is because she did return back to full-time, where previously she was part-time. Moving on to benefits, that's $68,333, and that covers the benefits for both the executive director and the support coordinator. Moving on to student assistant, that is $13,000, and we currently have two student assistants. One helps us with graphic design and marketing. She makes all of our awesome flyers. The next is for our student worker, which is currently taking care of the edible garden. And here is our total employee expenses. Moving on to administration, beginning with executive scholarships, we have that at $45,486, and that includes every vice president, including the president, will receive a scholarship of $7,581. And the reason you see that jump from last year is because last year's board voted to create a new executive position, which is VP of Legislative Affairs. So that is the only reason you see that jump there. And that is a one-time scholarship. Moving on to Chief Justice Scholarship, that's $800, and that's $400 per semester. Moving on to a Director Scholarship, that is $6,200. So that means that each director will receive a scholarship of $100 per semester. And again, the reason you see that $1,000 jump is because we voted to create Vice President of Legislative Affairs, and with that comes 6 Lobby Corps members. Moving on to office space, that is what we pay the student union to have our space, our office, and that is $29,134. And the reason you see that increase is because every 3 years a market survey is done in the city of Bakersfield, and so we just saw that increase because of that. Going on to supplies and services, we have $9,877, and that includes general office supplies, paper, pens, sticky notes, canopy, the water refill station filters, which we're responsible for, and the general services. As you can see, we decreased it from last year's allocated funds because of the virtual fall. Next is the telephone. That is $2,640, and that covers telephone use on the main campus as well as AV. And the final one I will be covering is postage, and we have allocated $1,500, and we increased it because of the virtual campus. We want to make sure we have enough funds to send our giveaway items because we plan to do virtual giveaways, and we need a way to mail out all of our prizes. I will now pass this on to Stephanie.
Are there any questions for Vanessa before we move on to Stephanie?
Seeing none. Moving on to Stephanie.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be taking over line 40 at printing, ASI miscellaneous. So this covers anything that we want to print as ASI through the print shop, the media lab. If we want to print anything from campus programming, like big posters for A-frames, this is where we get that from. It's we brought it down to 1,200 since we are going to be virtual. Next line, we have administration overhead, and this is 29,400, and this covers all campus services such as IT, HR, UPD, payroll. It's just a fee that we pay for using these services. Then next line, we have ASI accounting support. This is 7,500, and this is because we are a non-auxiliary, and as a non-auxiliary, we need more accounting support, so we're required to have this. Our next one is our audit and tax. It's 1,365. It stayed the same. This is per contract. This is what we pay Aldrich, which is the company who does our taxes. Equipment, it's down to 2,000, and this helps covers anything that we need as an organization, so tables, canopies, laptops, anything like that. Again, we brought this one down because of a virtual campus for fall. Next line is hospitality. We brought it down to 5,000. This one is for hosting end of the year banquets, ASI activities, board social, student leadership council, things like that. But we can also use this for sponsoring events for food. And then our next line is insurance and liability. That one we stay the same, 8,268. Again, this one is per contract. So as a nonprofit, we're required to have our own liability insurance. So this is just something that we have to pay. I'll now move on to organization dues and memberships. Our first one is CSSA. There was no CSSA this year, so there is no cost. And then AOA, it's another organization that we are part of that all 23.
I think she might have frozen.
So AOA is the Professional Association for all auxiliaries on the CSU. And so as an auxiliary, we pay $600 to be a member of that organization. And then next is the ASCAP /BMI music licensing. That is our portion of that is $1,000. That allows us to play music at any of our events without having to worry about licensing issues. And so it's a much larger contract the campus pays for, and our portion of that is $1,000.
Does anyone have any questions for what we just went over? Seeing none, I believe we move on to Crystal.
Yes. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go over travel. And so first is the CSA monthly meeting. We basically cut it in half, a little more to account for the actual cost of attending it. Usually there is a fee associated with it. And we cut it in half so that in spring, hopefully, if we go back to face-to-face, which is what this entire budget is about. Like, we're assuming spring is going to be face-to-face. We will still have enough money to travel face-to-face. Chess conference, that is in the spring, and so we didn't cut anything from it. It usually happens in March, and that is the California Higher Education Student Summit, where you learn how to lobby, lobby corps, and the president and the university of VP of University Affairs will attend that with me and the lobby corps. CS Unity, we totally cut because CS Unity is going to be online. Central Valley Leadership Conference, typically that is in the spring. It's always in the spring, excuse me. And it's held by, I think it's going to be held by Stanislaus this year. And that's just to cover our attendance fees, as well as possibly a hotel. Sometimes they do overnight. And then for the AOA retreat, that's for Ilaria. But this year it has been canceled. It's basically a leadership conference for Ilaria, but it's canceled this year. The elections coordinator fee, we pay a faculty member, Jason Watkins, who works in SSD to be our elections coordinator. And we just pay him to, give the PowerPoint and handle any disputes, where they may be. The next line item is parking permits. We added, so it's cut in half, but we also added lobby corps members, but this is all for the spring, because in fall we're not going to have parking permits, and we're still working on those details as a university for parking permits in the fall. And student training and development, that's basically retreats. We cut it in half, about in half, so that in spring we can hopefully take y'all out for a retreat for leadership, because we can't do that in the fall. Typically we do fall and spring, but fall I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to move on to the next exec to talk about advertising and promotion.
Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none. Okay, go ahead, Frankie.
I think I'm doing this section.
Yes,
Okay.
Maria.
So, hi everyone. So for advertising and promotion, you guys could see that this year we have allocated $6,000 for that. And that is going to include our ASI swag, so it's like our shirts, pens, anything we want to include, sometimes like in giveaways. So all of that stuff. And if you guys see, it did decrease from last year just because of the virtual campus. Next, we have $1,000 for legislative advocacy. And as you guys could see, again, it went down. Again, this is just because of the virtual campus. This is going to include any of our legislative visits, our campaigns, and we set that money just in case we do some like online campaigning and all of that. So next line for 62 is sustainability. We have $3,000 for that, and that's going to be for Recycle Mania. It got cut in half because our sustainability month, we're not going to have that since we are going to be virtual in the fall. Next line item is Judicial Council discretionary. This is going to be $1,000. And this just goes out to like anything that they might need. They have money allocated for that. We also have AV Special Project. They have $1,000 for that, and that's going to be for an event they want to host in the spring. Next, the elections. We have $500 for that. That's for promotions and students when we pay for their headshots and packets and all that. Basic needs, we have $1,000. $500 goes to the food pantry and $500 goes to the edible garden. We usually do that yearly, so that's why it didn't go down. And next, we have our discretionary budget, and this is going to be $2,500 for each vice president. And this is money that goes towards events that you guys want to host, or giveaways that you guys want to give out. So anything that committees might need, that's what we're going to use that for.
Does anyone have any questions for Maria? Seeing none, I believe.
So next is Frankie.
Oh, she froze. I was like, what happened?
Nope, next is you.
All right, so for the Finance Committee, the general allocation of money for clubs, we kept it the same at $45,000. hopeful that more clubs will be asking for funding and create some really cool new ideas. And then the travel grant, we decrease it from 4,000 to 6,000 because we know that there's not going to be any traveling, at least for the fall. And then Nadia is going to handle the ASI programs.
Alrighty, so hi guys. So I will be talking about the ASI programs. So for the first one line, we do have special events and programs, which is $25,000. So we did raise it up by $4,000, which will cover virtual programming, takeout Tuesdays that we do every week, including during the summer, and also giveaways that we will be doing. Next is runner nights. We rolled over, as you guys can see on there, $21,000 from this spring semester, and then with $15,000 from this fall semester coming up. Next, we have RowdyCon. So we kept it the same at $4,000. Basically, they have gaming events. They connect student clubs with our community. They raise money for also local charities. And then we have the Bakersfield Jazz Festival. And as you can see on there, we will not be giving any money to that, just simply because they don't have one in the fall. So that happens during the spring. Following that, we have the Magic Center, and we just raised it by $500. That would just cover any extra supplies that they may need, paper, cleaning supplies, etc. And that is all for me.
Does anyone have any questions for Frankie or Nadia? Seeing none. Moving on to student scholarships. Ilaria? Sorry, I think you're muted.
Frankie, I think you're going over this section.
So student scholarships, we added one for the fall. Normally we just do spring. So we went from doing 21 scholarships just in the spring to 25, both in the fall and the spring. That's why you see such a big increase. And then the general unallocated reserves, we kept that the same. That's just in case anything unexpected were to happen. And that's about it.
Does anyone have any questions for Frankie? Seeing none.
Miles.
Miles, sorry, I can't see. Go ahead, Miles.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't a question, just a note.
Well, why don't you tell everyone out loud what your note is?
Oh, okay. No, it's just that we approached the board asking if we can have a veteran-specific scholarship with the ASI scholarships. And then I already talked to Nadia, my exec, and then we're going to talk about it next Tuesday during the exec meeting.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this is an opportunity for you all as board members to discuss the budget, ask questions of the execs about why they did what they did, where they put things. Again, this is an opportunity for you all to have discussion about it so that that next week we would actually vote on it if there's any changes that need to be made. So if you have any questions or comments, please write your name in the chat. John Winkler has a question. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just noticed in the budget that the Judicial Council had gotten a decrease of 50%, it looks like, from $2,000 to $1,000, which I totally understand that we have to decrease to accommodate for, new restrictions and whatnot. But I did notice that I think that percentage of decrease might be just a little bit more than the other executive officers. So I just wanted to make sure that budget decrease is proportional to the other, parts of ASI as well. Unless there's like a super compelling reason why it should be lower.
So are you proposing a different number that you'd like the execs to consider?
Yeah, I had noticed that it looks like the other executive officers budget had been reduced by 37.5%. So it brought it down from $4,000 to $2,500. It looks like, which was a decrease of $1,500. So perhaps instead of reducing the judicial council budget from $2,000 to $1,000, it could be proportionally reduced as well by 37.5%, which would take it down to $1,250 instead of the $1,000.
What do other folks think about that?
I agree.
Crystal has a comment.
Thank you for catching that, John. Yeah, that's totally fair, like 100%.
Julia agrees with that as well. Other comments about the budget, rationale behind anything, any questions you have about the revenue pieces? Caitlin has a question.
Yeah, I was looking at the basic needs, and it has, I noticed it only has for the food pantry and the edible garden, and I was wondering if, do we see the counseling center as a basic need as well? And if we do, what would we possibly consider putting in some money towards the counseling center?
I'll start. The counseling center is a student fee, is actually a student fee driven entity as well. So they are funded through student fees. If you are suggesting and thinking that ASI contributes to the specifically to the center, I would also have you all think about what does that look like? Is that in terms of programming dollars? Is it specific? Yes, it is a part of basic needs, but they're all, right now we've, in terms of basic needs support, we've been funding the food pantry and the edible garden. So what do other folks think? Crystal has a comment.
Yeah, so I investigated this as VP of University Affairs, like helping support the counseling center. And I was talking to Janet, I believe. Their biggest need is another counselor, and $500 isn't going to hire another counselor. And so I asked her if, could we use $500 for programming or whatever? And she said it was kind of it wouldn't really do much. And so that's why we didn't add it. But if there's certain programming that you'd like to do for basic needs, like mental health wise, then I think it would be a good addition. But otherwise, the counseling center made it clear to us it was unless you can donate enough money for a new counselor, I don't know where it would go.
Does anyone have any other comments or questions?
Janet Millar is here and would like to respond. Janet, you can unmute yourself.
Maybe. Oh, yeah. Hey, hi. Yes, and thank you, Caitlin, for thinking of us. As we spoke, as Crystal indicated, we spoken about this before, and we would probably not turn down any money because we have to do programming as well. We do consider ourselves basic part of the basic needs process of recovery on campus as well. And in addition, we are only partially covered by student fees. We are our psychiatrist is covered by that, and some of our AV counseling center person is covered by student fees. So we have a big base of state-funded, and a very small part of us is funded through student fees. And I appreciate your thinking of us. Again, it's going to change. Our world is changing because we're doing so much online, and we'll be doing so much more virtual outreach this year. So we totally appreciate the thought. And like I said, We would not turn away any money. We would use it well if it were to come our way. But we have this sort of mixed bag now of state funding, a small amount of student fees, and then a whole virtual programming process that we'll be learning to do this year. Ordinarily, we do things like this candlelight vigil for student suicide prevention, and so that's a cost to our state budget. And we do mental health awareness, mental health awareness event, and typically that takes money out of our our stateside thing. But this year we don't have to do that because we'll be doing things virtually. Yeah, so that gives some clarity and appreciation, I hope.
Thank you, Janet. Miles has a comment.
Hi, Miles.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to note that I'm going to have a conversation with the execs next Tuesday about the veteran-specific scholarship coming from ASI. And I just wanted to know if anyone had any comments or concerns or anything along those lines that they wanted to be reached during that time. Or any questions or anything like that?
John Winkler has a comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base and let you know that at Judicial Council, we're looking to, look for new scholarship ideas for the fall and spring semester. So if the veteran scholarship is something that is specifically of interest to you, that would definitely be something that, Judicial Council would be really interested in hearing. So I would definitely like to be a part of that meeting too.
Oh, yes. Thank you for expressing that. I really appreciate it. But exactly like I was saying, it's just like, because I know a lot of people are automatically coming off the idea that it's like appealing to a certain demographic, but I was just like, veterans are veterans and we have to appreciate their service in this time or the other.
Certainly.
Let's circle back to Caitlin's question and comment about adding funds towards the counseling center. Are there other folks who have comments about that? Okay, seeing none. Are there other comments about the budget before we move on? I think you're good to move on, Vanessa.
Okay. Sounds good. Give me one moment.
And remember, next week, this will be as an action item on the agenda. We'll have the opportunity to discuss again, make any changes that you all decide, and then you all will vote on this next week.
Okay, moving on to action item SB 101, support to continue using Aldrich advisors. Give me a second so I can pull up SB 101. Okay, so essentially what this is, on May 15th, for the previous board, Vice President of Business Administrative Services, Tom Davis, came to the ASI board to present the findings of the auxiliary auditors. So 4 firms were presented, but Aldrich proved to be the best auditor that understands the complexities of being an auxiliary, provides the most support staff to assist in the audit, and they also have competitive pricing. So this SB 101 is to continue using Aldrich advisors as ASI's financial auditor and tax services for the fiscal years of 2021 through 2025. So essentially, this is just officially hiring them as our tax auditors. So I will open this up to discussion. Is there anything in the chat, Ilaria?
I don't see that. So this is an opportunity for you, especially as new board members, to ask questions. You might remember Andy from Aldrich did speak at the last board meeting to talk a little bit about their services. But if anyone has any questions about what those services are, this is your time to ask those. I don't see any, Vanessa, so I think you're able to move on.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve SB 101?
I move to approve SB 101.
Motion by Crystal. Can I get a second?
Second from Caitlin.
Does anyone oppose the approval of SB 101? Does anyone abstain? Okay, SB 101 passes. Yes. Can you see my screen, Ilaria?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Alrighty. Next is old business. There is no old business. Moving on to special reports. Antelope Valley. Do we have a report from Antelope Valley, Ilaria?
We do not. Debbie over at Antelope Valley is working to recruit some as our ASI representative. So we are still. So she is still working on that. And then Mary Mahoney from the SRC is here for the SRC report.
Okay, Mary.
Hi, thanks everybody. I talked about the reopen plan previously, so just made everybody aware of that. Just a couple other things. We are investing in some new technology that will allow us for the reservation system and contactless entry. So look for a new CSUB SRC app coming. We are doing virtual programming this summer. If you haven't checked out our social media, we do have an all-campus fitness challenge going on, and we've got really great response from that. I think last time I talked to Leah Bank, there was over 160 plus people participating in that. So yay, campus for staying active and involved. And then I bring this up because it's been a constant question in the past about people wanting to get stuff from their lockers. This is not a virtual background. I'm here at the rec. I'll be here at 7 until 7, and then tomorrow from 11 to 3. And the people who do have stuff in their lockers, they've been receiving emails, but just if you get that question, here till 7, again, tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 3, if you know somebody that has stuff in their lockers and want to come get their belongings and get it cleared out. Thanks.
Crystal has a question for you, Mary.
Yes.
Hi. So you mentioned a mobile app. Does the SRC plan to integrate the mobile app with the CSUB app so students don't have to download two different things?
Boy, that's beyond my technological knowledge. We are working with the IT department for getting approval. It's the same software we use for our membership. You know how you check in and slide your card. So I don't know if we can sync it with the CSUB app, but that's a great question. I'll ask. But through this app, you can create, again, you can do your reservation. So if you know, I want to work out tomorrow at noon, you can go in the day before, reserve your time slot, and then you'll be good to come in. And we have, you'll just need your smartphone even, and you'll be able to swipe in via barcode. But I don't know if it's advanced enough that we could sync with a completely separate app.
All right, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other questions for Mary?
That's it, Vanessa.
Okay. Moving on to CSSA reports. So I can start off. So CSSA stands for California State Student Association. And Crystal, Maria, and I recently attended the CSSA orientation about 2 weeks ago. We have 2 more orientations in July. But other than that, we do not have an official meeting until August. So we will all keep you updated once we have those meetings. Is there anything else that Crystal or Maria would like to add? Go ahead, Crystal.
Yeah, so if y'all are interested, there's open positions for CSSA, the Social Justice and Equity Officer, the Sustainability Officer, as well as the Vice President of Legislative Affairs. The the one that was elected previously had to decline the position because she's working for a really big internship, like a very prestigious one. And so the position is now open. And so if you feel like you could balance both of those, I would encourage you to apply for those positions. And I believe the applications are due sometime in mid-July. The CSSA website will tell you more details with specifics, though.
And Crystal, for our next meeting, will you have a plan for the board trustees meeting that you can share so to explain to the students and the board members about what's happening, what's on the agenda for the next board trustees meeting?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the agenda. They usually post it like the last second. So thank you for reminding me. The board of trustees meeting is going to be happening July 21 to 22. On the schedule on the website. Typically, they smush it into one day because of Zoom. So if you're interested, the specific agenda hasn't been published, but the general discussion is going to be about student fees. In the CSU previously in the spring is going through lawsuits for refunding fees, which is an important thing to note going to the conversation. And so if you're interested in speaking, the board, it's super important. If you want fees to go down, stay the same, go up, for you to express your opinion there, because the board of trustees do listen to the students. And if, let's say that you want student fees to decrease because of virtual campus and nobody shows up, then the only two student voices on the board would be the two student trustees. And so it'll give them more power to say, hey, there's so many students that attended, and we need to vote to decrease tuition. So if you're interested, I'll keep y'all posted, but the agenda has not come out yet. But keep July 21 on your calendars.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Are there any in the chat?
None that I see.
Okay. Moving on to director reports. Are there any director reports? If you have a director report, can you put your name in the chat?
Div Young has a director report. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. As a part of the summer programming for housing, the RAs and RCCs, we have planned a bunch of events throughout the summer. We have a total of 9, from which we already had 2. These are for all the residents. We had a virtual Mario Kart competition, which Crystal actually won. And we had a virtual Jeopardy last Wednesday. This upcoming Wednesday is going to be a hallway loteria thing where students will be on Zoom safely, 6 feet apart, and we'll have a different loteria game going on different floors. Other than that, we got a grant from the Chancellor's office, which took over all the emergency housing funding for students for the month of June. So the students living here don't have to pay for that student housing for the month of June. And other from that, I have been talking to my exec Nadia about a possibility of doing a campus cleanup in the summer. We're still working on the logistics of how we can do it with our safety and everything, and if it's going to be greenlit or not. So I don't have a lot on it, but I just wanted to let you know that we were talking about it.
Thank you for your report, Div Young. Do we have any other director reports?
Not that I see.
Okay. Moving on to executive officer reports, starting with the president. So a little bit about what I've been up to. Last week, I attended the Panetta Institute Leadership Seminar. It was a really great experience. There were 16 speakers, and they talked about leadership. And so I walked away with a lot that I can use for this upcoming term. Also, like I mentioned, I attended the CSSA orientation, got to meet the other leadership members from the 23 other CSUs. So I'm excited to, continue going to the CSSA meetings. I've also attended different meetings, but one important meeting that I've been going to is meeting with Claudia Katota, which is the Chief Diversity Officer and Special Assistant to the President. As you know, we are planning a summer series. So right now we are trying to establish a summer series committee so that we can start planning the events for the summer. So that's a little bit about what I've been up to. And that's the end of my report. Moving on to Executive Vice President. Do we know if Stephanie was able to get back on?
Yes, I'm here, Vanessa.
Okay, cool.
Hi, everyone. So over this past week, I've just been working on Takeout Tuesday, along with the orientation we did. Thank you, everyone, for joining our orientation. It was so glad to get to know a little bit more about you directors. And then, as Vanessa said, we're working on our summer series. We're trying to get books still that we want to do for our book club. So if you have any books in mind that you would like us to read, just please send them our way. We need ideas. And that's all for my report.
Thank you, Stephanie. Moving on to Vice President of Campus Life.
Awesome. That would be me. So I'm so excited because my directors have been keeping me busy. So thank you for letting me know what's going on, any plans and ideas that you guys have, concerns. Like Miles and Davion have mentioned, I have been meeting with them and they have been updating me on things that they're doing, what's going on. These are returning directors, so they knew they were going to fall under my committee. So that's what they're reporting to me. So if you're new to my committee, don't worry about it. Just wanted to clarify that. I am working also with Takeout Tuesday. I'm reading through the survey questions. And so I want to make sure that we are paying close attention to what you guys have questions and concerns with. I'm also working on putting together the books and movies for the summer series, like Vanessa had mentioned and Stephanie. And so that's what I'm doing. So if you guys, again, have any book recommendations or movie recommendations that you guys love or have seen or read, send them over to me also. And then I'm also brainstorming ideas for virtual activities to do once school starts in the fall. And giveaways that I have in mind that are going to be worth it, I promise. And then lastly, I'm getting ready to welcome my committee, and I'm going to start a group chat soon. So please expect, if you haven't downloaded GroupMe app, download it because that's what we're going to be communicating. And so that's all I'm working on. So yeah.
Thank you, Nadia, for your report. Moving on to Vice President of Finance.
Hello, everyone. So I've been busy with I've been talking to Dean Guna. He's has a lot of great ideas for what he wants to do in the fall with school BPA. I've been reaching out to different vice presidents of different CSUs to see kind of like what they're up to and what ideas they have for the fall, and see if we can mimic those ideas also. I see Devyong, he's really excited. Also been working with Takeout Tuesday, been working in actually talking with the businesses and ordering the food for everyone. And that's about it for me.
Awesome. Thank you for your report. Moving on to Vice President of University Affairs. Maria? I think you're muted.
Okay, there you go. Could you guys see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. So for this couple past months, I've been basically like researching, like a lot of our VPs said, we've been trying to do a summer series, and we're thinking of like doing a book club. So I've been looking into books and just kind of movies to educate myself and see how I bring on, like, fill this role for next semester. I've also been serving on a few committees to bring some great resources, some housing resources for students. And that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Awesome. Thank you for your report, Maria. Actually, I don't think VP of Legislative Affairs was on here.
I'm going to yield part of my time. So yes.
Okay. So moving on to, or do you want to do that now? I don't know.
Why don't we go to John, and then we'll go to John first, and then we'll figure that out. So
Okay, moving on to Chief Justice.
Hi, everyone. So Judicial Council is excited to, start reviewing the bylaws and looking at what's happening on other campuses in the fall. We've made our group meet, so we're getting ready. I did just want to quickly mention for everyone, we are looking for feedback on how we're going to be implementing the scholarship program for the fall and the spring. It's a lot to consider. We have to look over the whole process and applications and whatnot. So feedback on what you guys want for those scholarships and who you think, you might want those to go to and all that good stuff would definitely be helpful. You can reach out to me at my CSUB email or, the other email. But yeah, we definitely want to hear your feedback on what you have in mind for those sorts of scholarships. So yeah, that being said, looking forward to the fall and working more with everyone else. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Moving on to Executive Director.
Can I make a public comment?
Yes, go ahead, Miles.
Just saying that thank you, John, for what you're doing, and I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay, moving on to Executive Director.
Okay, so since I was the one who typed up the agenda and left off Crystal. So Crystal, why don't you unmute yourself, give your update, and then I'll finish up after you.
It's all right, everybody. It's okay. Don't worry. It happens. So my report is I've been working on a lot of lobby course stuff. So I'm finalizing the members. There's been a few changes in the roster with the incoming. And in July, we're going to be rolling out the lobby corps application. And I talked to previous legislators and Aragon, and he told me that we should have an application starting in the summer for returning, and then another push in the fall for freshmen. And then we'll interview everybody at the same time. And so that's what we're going to be doing this year. And then I'm going to be working on, if possible, on committee social. We might get tacos in our cars separately and just talk with the windows down. And then I finished the notes for our UPD meeting. We had that last Tuesday. And basically it was last Tuesday. And it was about a lot of the policies that that UPD uses, an update on that. So if y'all didn't see the chokehold, the corduroy hold has been banned by all of the CSUs. And they're still revising a lot of the policies for the UPD, and it's going to be a reoccurring process, especially throughout the summer because of all the events that have happened. And then as well as, so Vanessa mentioned the summer series, and me and Frankie actually have been working on a list of speakers. I encourage everybody to watch it. I mean, it's on Netflix, called 13. And a lot of those speakers in that movie, it's a movie about a lot of it is how systemic racism affects Black Americans, and how we basically, there's a lot of social institutions that keep them oppressed. And so a lot of those speakers in that series are fantastic. They're professors, they're lawyers, they're a bunch of very educated people. And so if possible, depending on their fees, we would like to bring them for the summer series. And that is my report.
Okay, are there any questions for Crystal before I move on? Okay, so first off, congrats to all of our new board members for your first meeting. I know it's a lot, kind of getting thrown in with the budget and all of this. So normally in the summer, we only host 2 board meetings, and that'll be here in June. So obviously you've had your first one this week, and then next week we'll have one also at 4:00, and that'll be our last that'll be to pass the budget, and then we will be able to have our budget in place for the new start of the fiscal year, which will be on July 1. That's kind of why we need to get this done, and then we won't have another board meeting until the first week of school on Fridays. So we'll be back to Fridays, our normal Fridays from 3 to 5. So with that said, we will be holding virtual retreat. The retreat won't be like one weekend. It'll be spread out over the summer. And so start to look for emails from Stephanie about events and doodles to give us your schedule so we can make sure that we can get the most amount of folks. If you missed the first orientation, don't worry. We're going to be hosting a second one. So for those of you who weren't able to make it, we will be able to catch you in there. Opportunities for you all to share programs and things that we're doing on social media. We'll always put flyers in the chat. We'll also send it out via Instagram. So we always encourage you to share on your own social medias just to get the word out. You should know we will be having our next food distribution. We'll have 2 in July. We'll have one on July 13th. And then we'll have our next one on July 20th. So we'll have 2 food distributions in July for students. Takeout Tuesdays, that has been wildly successful. We have anywhere between 300 to almost 400 students responding each week for Takeout Tuesday. So if you have any questions that you would like the execs to put in there as a question of the week, it is really a 1-question survey. So for us to get feedback. But if there's any sort of question that you have or you have any restaurant suggestions, please go ahead and get that to your exec. With that said, tomorrow is our exec meeting. So school directors will be discussing your rankings. And so tomorrow you should expect to hear from your exec as to what committee that you're going to be in. And group chats for the committees will be live tomorrow. So you'll start to see that and reach out from your execs to schedule meetings. There's been a lot of you who've been interested in joining the book club that the execs wanted to do on reading a book about racism. So we will let you know what, we will purchase the book for all of you and for those who want to be involved, and we will hold discussions so we can learn and educate ourselves more. So we'll more info on that. And again, I'm here in the office. ASI is here every day. Your office is still open. So just know that you can, the Zoom link that is in my email, you can always Zoom with me. You can call, send me a group me message, whatever I can do to support you all while you're virtual. Just know that folks are here and we're meeting actively. Vanessa is in the campus preparedness meeting every week talking about reopening plans and making sure the student voice is there. So just know that keep your questions coming. And then Jennifer Self is going to still is doing the virtual updates every Thursday. So if there's things that you want in the virtual updates that you're not seeing, please let us know so we can make sure that we get folks the answers. So Crystal's going to, as you know, Candace last year was holding it down on Facebook for us. Crystal's going to be our new ASI person on Facebook. So if you happen to see questions in CSUB swap, and that Crystal hasn't answered, or feel free to reach out to her. And then if there's questions that you're starting to see from students, again, message in so we can start to make sure we're getting those answers for students. I think that's it for me.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Ilaria? John?
I have one quick question about the book club. Do we have to opt in for that, or is that just something that's going to be like ASI wide?
We'll put it out to everyone in ASI, and whoever wants to join in is more than welcome to. It's not a requirement, but it'd be great for all of you to be involved in that. And we'll purchase the book and develop a schedule and discussions. But yeah, no, we hope that all of you would be able to do it.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions for Ilaria? Seeing none. Moving to campus committee reports. Do we have any campus committee reports?
I don't think so.
Seeing none. Moving on to closing remarks. Is there any closing remarks? Seeing none.
Nadia has a
adjournment.
Sorry, Nadia has a closing remark.
Yes. So
Okay,
I just
go
want
ahead,
to
Nadia.
say, okay, can you guys hear me? Good. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to say there's
Yes.
no such thing as stupid questions. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we talked about, or you're still not have a better idea, make sure you reach out to any exec member. For some of you, they'll
I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but please make sure you guys know in case any student or friend asks you what's going on, or they just simply want to know what does this mean, you guys are able to answer those questions. So it's important for you guys to also know and ask questions in case anything has ever been asked to you guys. So yeah, so no such thing as stupid questions. It's all good in the hood, all right? That's all I had to say.
Crystal has a comment.
Yeah, so with the budget, if you have anything else to add on, please let us know. It's really, really important that, like, for example, like when John and Caitlin and Miles bring up different points about the budget, that we actually consider it, because this is student fees. Like, we are charging students and we're not decreasing the fee of ASI. And so if you feel like the budget can be allocated in a better way to serve students, please let us know, because that is our job. Thank you, everybody that made a comment today for the budget. And I can't wait to work with you all, working with y'all now, I guess. Thank you.
Any other closing remarks?
None that I see.
Okay, seeing none. Moving on to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Motion made
by Crystal.
A second by Nadia.
Sorry, you're cutting off a little bit.
Oh, sorry, a second by Nadia.
Okay, seconded by Nadia. Do I have anybody that opposes? Anybody that abstains? Seeing none, I adjourn this meeting at 5:20. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations on your first meeting, y'all.